Well, hello. "50 seconds, you're gonna be having El Matador." Does somebody know if Vindicare is somebody known's nickname? Some Smurf? No idea. But I guess you're gonna be seen based on the gameplay. Now hopefully it's gonna be launching in the first place. That's a very first time at this point. I've seen this in a long time. Let's try to maybe restart that in case it was some kind of bug. That's a bit better. So probably was just a kind of bug here at the start. No, and we're gonna be playing on Oasis, with the gods being therefore kind of interesting. You're gonna be having Vindicare playing with Susanoo. Seems like he's gonna be having some excellent gold mine here right beyond his base. Hard to be really raiding it in the first place, and they are actually kind of interestingly even positioned on the map, right? Like basically like divided by the two oases in between. And then tell it to commonly, quite often it's going to be that you're gonna be to the top and bottom, and therefore there's a passage between you. This is gonna be like a direct path block between them, and Matador is gonna be playing with Poseidon. Well, at this point he probably doesn't entirely want to be giving up some kind of special strats, obviously. So playing Poseidon, it's gonna be kind of evident what he's gonna be trying to do here, in my opinion. Then, just like a good practice, and getting properly in shape. So he could be having as best chance as possible in the upcoming weeks. So for his stage of the map and state of the map, he's gonna be having the gold mine, maybe slightly forward, but it's definitely easier as well because he's having some growth next to him. Easy wall downwards, temple forward, and maybe some kind of house or whatnot, and then a rest of the wall upwards, and the gold is gonna be also super safe. Next one is gonna be theoretically a bit interestingly positioned close to the TC. It's not too far away. It's definitely something that's gonna be within its influence, especially considering even the growth of palms nearby. Then he's gonna be having some further ones. Could be maybe the main battlefield here, somewhere southwards. And the one to the top, it's also having some kind of properties to it for Matador. Could kinda say that if you're gonna be dropping some walls from there and upwards, then it's also a pretty safe spot. So I think he's having legitimately both options are fairly nice. If we wanted to be getting some earlier second TC, but I'm not really expecting that. I'm thinking this is gonna be somewhat of an aggro affair. Not entirely certain what it's gonna be necessarily from the Susanoo, if there is some kind of new meta or whatnot for him or not, but feels like it could be some standard cavalry to begin with. Maybe with the Kitsunes, not sure, but wouldn't be expecting anything too groundbreaking yet, but we'll see. Hopefully I'm gonna be wrong. Feather of Bifunk is gonna be the first relic for the extra bonus against the buildings. Then we do have Kopesh of Horus. Guess. Probably not gonna be having too many myth units, at least not on this way. From Susanoo, possibly yes. From the Poseidon, hard to say. There's of course always the chance that he might be going for the Centaur build instead of some archers and stuff. Charon's Obol and Anvil of Hephaestus yet again. Plenty of that today. Not only the Anvil, but also the other one, the new. That is removing also the cost of the food and the wood. That one we have also had one. So if you're gonna be basically thinking between those two, we have had them in like 3 games out of, what was it, 4 games maybe we have had so far, 4 or 5. Not entirely right now remembering all that properly. But seems like the goats having a bit of a problem getting into some proper spot. A little blocked on the stone in there. And again, they're just gonna be right now ordering themselves nicely and easily. Again, I'm really thinking this is not a good quality of life change, because that's exactly what you should be kind of trying to micro on the villages. Basically, it's the same as moving the villages into better spot regarding the mining camp, kind of in between for back and forth. and the position of the goats is of the same variety, in my opinion. I'm really thinking that's one of the absolutely big mistakes they have made with trying to do quality of life, but in the end they are just dementifying the game, making it way too easy and basically removing skill impression and expression from the game, which is something that you definitely do not want to be doing in strategy game that is supposed to be about, well, kind of like perfection. Exactly. I mean, any kind of competitive game is about perfection, but strategies should be even more so, in my opinion. And this is not something that is like APM intensive, absolutely not. This is just like literally taking you a few seconds somewhere where you don't have to be paying attention to anything else. That is exactly where the skill expression comes from. Utilizing your time that you don't have to be utilizing somewhere else for something that's gonna be helping you in the long run. So, just simply wrong, in my opinion, design approach here. But whatever the case, it is, well, of course, something that is here. And therefore something that players don't have to be thinking about and of anymore. So we're gonna be going for the stables, somewhat as we expected that it's going to be there for. Apparently it's not gonna be too hot with the kitsunes, I guess, on the speed increase. But, well, the cavalry is expected, whereas on the other side, double stable already dropped for Matador as well. Wall in as we expected. This one is off. Yeah. Thank you for showing us right now, baboon. Wow, that's a horrible wall. Somebody was a bit too quick about it, but whatever the case, hopefully he's gonna be able to fix it down the line. So he's gonna be there for waiting impatiently for a lot of the horses to be upgraded at least a bit faster than in the very first game, I think it was, right? The first one or the second, probably the second it was. The Poseidon player was refusing to be getting a lot of the horses until quite a bit later, and he already was losing some lives of the Hippicons needlessly. So let's see how quick is gonna be El Matador able to think of it and add it into his repertoire. So otherwise, well, 27-22 on the military, a bit better currently for Vindicare. And on the villages, it's gonna be on the other hand, slightly better for El Matador. 21-19, it's actually a fairly nice bonus for him to already have. But the military, no. Ay, that's gonna be dead Kandar for sure. And now, well, the other cavalrymen, they could be certainly already using the healing. It was very nice how we split them. It's kind of like the classic what you should be always trying to do as well. Practically sacrifice one of the units so that the others are not gonna be ensnared and therefore can be running away a bit faster. You can say in the same situation, he's also, since it's not the whole group, he's basically moving those two in a different group formation and therefore they can move faster. And theoretically, if he's gonna be actually doing it well enough, then he can also make the other one, the back one, then move faster because of rubber banding. And he's gonna be then selecting them all and then clicking somewhere. Because he's gonna be trying to catch into formation. I think he was trying to do it a bit. Didn't entirely work out perfectly, but I'm thinking that it was there partially. And it's of course a mechanism that you'll be expecting of top level player to be utilized like that. Indian blocked it with a house. Now that is a proper Age of Empires 2 solution. El Matador, of course, AoE 2 player first. Age of Mythology after. But currently probably main Age of Mythology. I'm not entirely certain if he's actually playing Age of Empires 2 still. Trying to remember maybe if he was taking part in some tournaments. I think he is. But of course, legitimately, he's having much better chances in Age of Mythology and success, considering the developments of the communities. But whatever the case, that's a pretty huge army at this point for Vindicare. 48 population limit, 41 on the other side. So far just nagging at us. We don't have the Bushido filled yet, even though it's getting quite a bit close in that 3 quarters already. And no, the statistics obviously 140 hit points against 150. Healing finally in place for Matador, that's good. 50 melee resistance, 20, a bit better here for Vindicare. And he does have 9 against 10 attack in there. So the Hippicons of course are stronger if they are able to get into a fight. Now they get into a bigger engagement, then sure. But otherwise, for example, the speed is gonna be a bit better here. You can say now 6.3 because we have the Kitsune in there in the mix. But nice right now from Vindicare to be keeping the opponent in base, which at this point pretty much in my opinion means that obviously Vindicare is gonna be some high level smurf. No idea who it could be. Not entirely certain if there's gonna be some kind of clue somewhere. I mean, like, the nickname doesn't entirely really... It's not anything that can tell you anything important. And unfortunately, we don't have the tracking as they do have in AoE 2. In AoE 2, they have tracking of Smurfs as well on spectator dashboard. And it's a fairly sophisticated system. It's not only who basically somehow gets figured out or whatnot, added into the mix. I'm thinking that they are also looking into some statistics, as in if the players are playing at the same time, or if they are just like one login in, another login out. I'm thinking they're also looking into these statistics, so it's an interesting system, which I'm gonna halfway thinking it's good for the community, because I absolutely do believe Smurfs shouldn't exist. Smurfs are the cancer of the community, always, everywhere. They never have any kind of bonuses for the community, only massive negatives. It's kind of funny also that after some 15 years, or no, 15, 25 years practically, it's talked about a bit more in Age of Empires 2. But yeah, well, if somebody like me complains about it and explains it to the community for 10, 15 years, nobody listens, but, well, people have to be somehow figuring it out themselves, that it is a toxic cancer to anything. But I'm not entirely kidding myself that in Age of Mythology is ever going to change. It's way too small of a community and game for anything like that to happen, and players are just simply wanting to have Smurfs, and therefore they're just gonna be having them because they just also have the sway in the community. Well, there's no chance of that. In AoE 2 there's a better chance of it, because it's a bit more kind of like a distributed and bigger community overall. So there's more space for the actual truthful voices in there, with what effect it has. But yeah, not like it's gonna be disappear fully from there, but at least it's starting to have some negative stigma, as it should be properly. You can see it now 15, 16, some 17, 18 goats in there in total here for the red player. Pretty decent for the next stage of the community of the game. It doesn't have to be farming as quickly. No, and we're gonna be therefore choosing the top gold mine in the end, interestingly. This time the small wall was done properly. No, and with the armies, we are having, well, 63-61, which is a pretty bad problem currently for Vindicare. We at least do have the medium Naginatas that we have gotten ourselves, and the shockwave. I don't think it's gonna be changing really anything. Black color on the piece in there from the Susanoo shockwave. How is it even called? Kusanagi. No, it's a pretty much shockwave. I mean, like, it's nothing else, right? It's just the shockwave, a bit differently done. As you're gonna be also having, interestingly, some hoplite tests, but since we are gonna be fresh in the heroic age, no, well, do we need to be switching into Hypaspis yet? Not yet, right? It doesn't even need to be switching into hoplite tests, frankly. It's a bit interesting addition, probably just thinking a bit like a few steps further, but maybe a bit sooner, because currently you could be still playing with some prodromy. Not entirely too many, just a few. Scarhouse is coming forward, and that will be there for into, yes, they're gonna be the Yari Spearmen. And that's where the Hypaspis are gonna be useful. So not like, it's not any kind of mistake to be having the barracks ready. You absolutely need the military academies. Military academies, not barracks, of course, here. Prepared, but I think he started a bit faster than he needed to. Didn't have to be that quick. Maybe he was just gonna assuming that the opponent is gonna be reaching the heroic age a bit faster. I'm gonna be probably going with that. That's what El Matador thought. He wanted to be ready for it. And in the end, of course, it's not gonna be any kind of problem right now, realistically, here in the fight or whatnot. Not really. Just an interesting thing to comment upon, I guess. So medium piece, that's gonna be there for just the copper weapons so far. For the Naginatas on the other side, we are having nothing. Bushido is gonna be impossibly far away so far. Interestingly, by the way, nobody has picked up any single relic in the game. And we definitely do have some interesting ones. Oh, I mean, like, human soldiers do more damage to buildings. Maybe could be interesting down the line. But there are not entirely that many super important ones here. But still, it's an extra favor. It's not much, but something that can be allowing you maybe to get something a bit easier and earlier, as a bit of a different Nemean line, right? with the like the shockwave slash stun slightly. So some kind of combination also with Battle Boar, maybe more to the Battle Boar actually, could be saying that it is. But what do we have there for? 4 of them already. 5 actually, to be precise. Can see right now the favor for Susanoo obviously never all that much of a problem, as he get in there for the Thunderous Presence for the Raijus and Crushing Waves. Oh man, extra damage, and especially the speed is gonna be pretty nice. 5.5, he's gonna be there for having 601. Or 61605 kind of, but I guess it's gonna be there for round it up. But in the numbers in the engine it's gonna be 605. That's a pretty nice right now army already, because you can see of course he doesn't have any kind of counters in here. And all the way to the top side we have broken through pretty much. It's kind of interesting how Matador actually very quickly realized he's probably not gonna be able to hold this, and he therefore already established the fortress all the way south, so that he can be continue playing the game. It's a very nice thinking ahead. It's really like definitely looking at the Hoplites and this, you can certainly see the player agency here from Matador. How he's trying to how he's taking this match seriously. He knows there is a good player against him, and therefore he is just gonna show in what you can probably expect very soon in Pandora's Box 2. Definitely Matador is gonna be one of the top favorites in there. I guess with Rapple, of course, winner of the previous tournament, and Recon is playing as well, so that's obviously gonna be always a strong player and participant. And from the others, well, I guess there's gonna be always a chance for some breakthrough performance. I mean, like for example, we have seen recently, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, pretty decent gameplay by No Brainer. Maybe he's gonna be some surprise main event participant, but I'm looking forward to the qualification. Probably gonna be wanting to stream on Saturday. It's a bit soon for me, but not promising therefore to start from the first round, but should be having definitely in the afternoon some games. We always stream something that is not streamed by others, and probably not gonna be too many streams, usually there are like 2 or 3. So we're gonna be having some pick of the other ones. And probably only Saturday, I guess, because I'm thinking that Thursday or Sunday is already going to be one match after the other, right, somehow. But we'll see. Simply if there's gonna be some need with covering some overlaps or whatnot, then possibly. And otherwise you're gonna be doing recorded games in the Wednesday sessions of some matches that are gonna be catching my eye, some specific matchups. By the way, is actually B signed up? So far I think he's not, right? It's always a fun player to watch. And he still does have, what, 2 days to sign up, so maybe it's gonna be a late edition there. So obviously something that's not gonna be entirely too super relevant, but it's just gonna keep in Matador on his toes, because obviously the damage is gonna be healed by the lore of horses in there pretty much. I'm just gonna maybe liking to see Vindicare trying to use them a bit more aggressively, but I'm thinking he's not entirely feeling comfortable with that. I mean, like looking at the population limit 87, 121, I can probably see why. Because he could theoretically play with Yaris Spearman. Okay, almost finished. With some Yaris Spearman at home, practically campaign, walling himself off, and then use the Raijus for some actual raiding. Maybe it could be like a variant what to do and how to play. Seems like that major focus is gonna be coming up here topside, so now the fortress is quite a bit far away here southwards. He is so far not getting any kind of Petroboli to help. Hippolyta, she probably can, nah, I don't know. She needs to be staying around. Maybe you kinda want to be actually keeping the earlier heroes here. And keeping maybe like the archer with the army, so that he can be right now doing something about the Raijus. And you can see he was trying to go with the heroes in here, because he knew that the Raijus are somewhere nearby. So, he's trying to maybe bait them somehow, somewhat. But, all the way to birds, we are gonna be trying to disrupt at least and slow down the horses, so that maybe the villages don't die, all of them at once. Seems like it required a bit more of a severe reaction from Vindicare, even using the extra Thunderburst. Okay, quite nice tactical gameplay at this point by Vindicare. I think he didn't need to be doing that. There was still quite an easy escape path, but he was probably afraid that Vindicare is gonna be utilizing kind of like the stun and throw away of the Raiju as well, and he's gonna be throwing the units into the middle of the Yaris Spearman in there. Thinking that's what he was worried about, that's why he was casting it. Probably could have been waiting if that happens and then casting the ceasefire. Yeah, well, didn't want to be risking it. Okay, so it's gonna be good saving at this point. Plenty of favor, of course, could be potentially getting Shrine of the Hunt extra, but I'm entirely thinking that's something that we want to be doing as much. Rather would be interested. Oh, he's gonna be actually already having Watatsumi ready. Alright, didn't even notice that the Mythical Age was almost there. Well, that's a problem right now for Matador for sure. Okay. Dragon Typhoon is gonna be ready. No, and of course, Rager's being appropriately powerful in here. If he could be, maybe actually he could be getting even more of those. Yeah, instead of right now trying to safeguard the favor for some multicastings, I'm really thinking he could be getting more of those, because at this point with the Heroic Age especially, then Matador is gonna be having a huge problem handling the myth units. He already is having a major issue with them. So I'm thinking that that's the only correct course of action. He's trying to get some daimyos into the mix, even though, well, doesn't really need them as much. Or is he trying to get some Shinigamis? No, he's not getting the upgrade for them yet. But the Shinigamis are also fairly interesting, because it's kind of like the 2 units in one, right? And if you get a bit more of those, they certainly do possess some power. But I'm really liking the Raijus. It's kind of like something what used to be the battle boars for the Norse in the original game. And I'm thinking that here they have definitely fallen off power-wise on Retold. You can see there's gonna be some kind of attempt on a counterplay, practically basically giving up on what he has having at home and hoping he's gonna be causing some similar mayhem and havoc in the enemy base. And he kinda might be. Way too many villages to hide in one TC. Yeah, he should be right now Vindicare, sending them even further in there. Oi, 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 oi! 36 versus 72, you can see army at 110 for each. So this actually is way more important than it kinda seemed. And way more relevant, kind of. Okay, he doesn't have anywhere to hide. Eesh. Well then, goodbye half of the army. So that's only 72 versus 116. No, TC gone. Gold all the way to the top side with the fortress. That's, I think, fine. It's a okay, it's an interesting attempt in here. But only 28 villages against 70 currently. No, if Matador is not gonna be panicking, he should be able to win this. But it's not gonna be easy born. It's gonna be definitely requiring some major effort still. But the question is if he's realizing where he is economically, because you can see the score. 2,000 more points for Vindicare. That doesn't really signal that Vindicare is having non-existent eco. That is not entirely that much of a clear message of that there. So Matador just gonna at this point needs to be keeping his nerves. Interesting gold mine to the bottom. Hard to spot, I'm imagining, for orange. Yeah, he doesn't even know about the gold mine. I was going to say that some of the villages should be moving even into the further gold mine here upwards. For a good result, that's all the way upwards. It's gonna be right now Matador. Oh, bit of a shame he missed the villages here on the castle. This is like, what, this is almost all the economy that Orange is having. So of course I understand the next castle in here. This is right now family, not only gold, this is like family platinum or whatnot, I don't know. He's gonna be losing at least like even like half of those, then he's done. Okay. No, and still, as you can see, the major problem being right now the myth units. It's gonna be Hippolyta, ceasefire. Yes, okay. Okay, they're gonna be the heroes. And now it could be about like a correct position against the Raijus when the ceasefire is gonna be gone. But Matador is kind of ignoring that, which I'm thinking is a mistake. Should be just kind of like trying to get into the middle of them, and even if he's gonna be instantly losing them, they of course do have such a damage that they will be instantly able to kill 1 or 2 before they die themselves. So I'm thinking that's a missed opportunity here for Matadoro. So they're slightly catching up on the score. This is a very cool game right now. I would be absolutely loving to know who Vindicare is. Because that's evidently super top level player. That could be anybody from like the favorites for the tournament. Not sure if maybe could be even Temista possibly. Temista, as far as I'm aware, is not playing in the tournament. Doesn't have to be meaning he's not having some fun games here and there. But it's probably gonna be somebody more active. So who knows. Just in attempt to wall right now orange in. No, but at this point we can say right now bronze is in. Much more importantly, orange is basically out of army. 54 against 97. Now 30 versus 65. Question is if Vindicare is gonna be wanted to call it too soon either. Or would we wanted to call it too soon? Because there's also some kind of chance that Matador might not be entirely like immediately trying to go for some super powerful counter-offensive. He might be slightly trying to lick his wounds. I'm loving the healing. I'm just like liking the healing in here. That's something that very much reminds me of Themista. So who could be who is practicing with Themista? Obviously Recon, right? I don't know if Rappel is maybe practicing with him as well. But the healing with the Mikos, I'm loving that. Not super common, but nice to see it. Fortunately now they're gonna be all dying. No chance for them to survive, but that's gonna be there for 36 against 108 now. It's depending, exactly as I mentioned. Is Matador gonna be immediately trying to close the game? Does he feel the blood in the water? Or is he gonna be trying to somewhat fix his economy? Can he get in the new TC in here? Even the base one that he has lost before as well. Yes, I now finish with the top one and... Okay. Understand the casting of the God Power. Unfortunately, it wasn't a proper shockwave. It's a delayed shockwave, so unfortunately. Super thought, but the execution wasn't fast enough. You need to be casting it second earlier. Normal shockwave would have been working, of course. But great plan. And Matador still the same problems. Still the same problems. And imagine with this kind of army, if you were Demeter and you were having Orpheus, you'd be just gonna absolutely demolishing the enemy units, the enemy boys. But Jesus, man, there's right now the power of Susanoo and getting the millions of favor, of course, from the Bushido, sorry, Bushido, and suddenly we had 38 population limit for Matador. And much more importantly, he also lost tons of villages in this. He lost like 20 villas here. Oh man, oh man, oh man. And that's gonna be getting... Oh, Jesus, man, that was one of the best, actually, lightning... I don't know how is it called, actually, the power. How is it called even for the right juice? The special power. I don't know, it's not even visible somewhere here. No, and suddenly situation is absolutely equal. Both on the army and on the resources, on the villages. Resources also absolutely drained for both of them. We have still no mythical age for El Matador. This is one hell of a story. No? And this is kind of the joy of community games. You never know what you're gonna get. Just like the Bonbonniere from Forrest Gump. You never know what you're gonna get. But this is definitely a super treat. So, depending what kind of sweets you like, take your pick. Now, this one is quite a bit something. No, well, Mythical Age. I kinda wonder if maybe Matador is gonna be trying to reach it, but there's probably not much of a reason for it now, I guess. You can say right now he's gonna be having what? Double copper and bronze. Thracian horses were there, right? Yes. For the opponent. Already champions, of course. All copper, so he still does have some kind of improvement space potentially in there. Where we get in here? Hunter strength. Range soldiers, all action damage plus 10% and plus range. Oh, he's actually switching through horse archers. I'm always having quite a problem properly recognizing the horse archers here in Age of Mythology for some reason. Kinda feel and look kinda similar to the Naginatas in certain situations, but nonetheless, now it's gonna be evident with the range. 2 TCs obviously for orange. Red is gonna be having 3, so he should be right about now again, running away on the villages, 51 against 42. But this is definitely quite a nice under pressure game. Loving it. Even the Echo upgrades. Full second level. Can't be getting anything further because of course Mythical Age missing. Still of course the hunting is gonna be useful in here. Wow. 0 upgrades the whole game on the economy. On Vindicare, by the way. 0 upgrades on the economy whatsoever. At that point... Is that... No? Who is the player who doesn't play economical upgrades too much? I can remember Grassengroom. Grassengroom is not very likely to get economical upgrades early. And considering how active game it is, it's 30 minutes in the game, so it's kind of extreme. But that's a name that pops up in my mind a bit. I think most others are a bit more focused on economy. Huh. That was needless. Unless he had some kind of affair with Miko and wanted to save her life, then it was an unnecessary casting, in my opinion, in there. But nonetheless, well, 59 favor. We have 29 only cost for the Thunderburst. Okay, that's fairly sweet. Pretty sweat in the edge. No, nonetheless, we're gonna be at least getting some siege weapon as well here. Matador, obviously, not even fortified TC. Unfortunately, not even Masons. That's a bit bigger problem. Not having Masones, in my opinion. By the way, for... Wow, that's an interesting shrine here. Okay, so yeah, he can be getting Mikos into the fight. Otherwise, we are having on the buildings also nothing here for the shrine. So Masons are apparently something we don't like. And on Myoji, yeah, I'm not entirely seeing him often enough. That's gonna be our ultimate siege weapon finally right now making an appearance here, the Wizard. And by the way, that reminds me, this is gonna be practically like the same and similar with Icarus, right? I think it's gonna be like a flying... Icarus is a flying version of this, especially the type of attack looks very similar. And the whole idea having a crash damage like that, yes, I think that's gonna be where it comes from. Okay, 4473. We were here about, I don't know, 15 minutes ago at this kind of like amount of villagers. Army is slightly better here for Matadoro. It's interesting how he's actually not getting some Prodromi into the mix. I mean, like he's facing so many cavalrymen. Sure, the Prodromi are having a bit less on the melee, on the pierce resistance, sorry. But they are still against cavalry, so if they manage to get into them, then sure, good. Okay, right now the Rage is yet again being a major obstacle. There's a lot of siege weapons here. Okay, we are suddenly having about 4 mages on Myojis. 3 or 4, I don't know. It's kind of hard to see at this point for me. So therefore, that's a huge problem right now for Matador. Because, well, it's not gonna be having too much of an easy time getting... Not gonna like standing tall against the enemy siege, therefore. Okay, still plenty of gold available. No, why am I looking? He's having all the upgrades, he just kinda needs to be getting into Mythical Age somehow. And he is, by the way. What is he getting? He's getting a Hephaestus. What kind of levels he was having? He's having 2nd and 3rd. Yeah, that's basically like half the upgrades still to pay for him. Plus getting Plenty Vault is also a decent boost to the economy he already is better at. Might be also helping out somewhat. Kind of curious. Fortified TC for Matador. Last economical upgrades as soon as he's gonna be through. I'm thinking that Mythical Age at this point could be a game breaker for possibly for Vindicare. Because I mean like Vindicare is still playing like on absolutely non-existent echo. He's not even like pushing the villages out. You can see he's having no auto-queue on the villages. It's kind of confusing to me. He's popped, sure. But he could just like legitimately keep getting like 1 or 2 villages here and there when he's simply not popped and he's losing a few units. And he's playing a very dangerous game in my opinion. Okay, Shockwave. Kinda thinking should have been casting it in the opposite direction, so that he'll be throwing some of the archers into kinda like the top where he was having the Raijus. At the same time, of course, there's still the opportunity to hide in the fortress, as he's right now exactly trying to do during the God Power. Smart casting, but at the same time also smart use case in there of the garrison by Mati. So there we go, we could be probably right now garrisoning into the face of them. Yeah, he was a bit too slow on that. But nonetheless, the army has been quite a bit, not to say necessarily decimated, but limited. 60 versus 60, plus in there. And... what is this relic? Gold cost minus 50% on... No, well, with the Forge of Olympus, it's probably not entirely that super important. Oh, still nice to get. And we are getting right now another Shrine of the Hunt, so he actually is gonna be casting that. Improve his economy further. Curious. I mean, like, still being able to practically hunt with the extra bonus that you have for the whole game, that's definitely boosting your economy a lot. What the hell? What is this? Okay, so apparently Shrine's attack Oh, and we get another one. Constant and instant distraction of the army right now happening here for Mate. And I'm absolutely loving this because this is almost like some prestige from an Oasis. And suddenly we're gonna be having millions of Mikos. How much attack they have? 12 damage? That's not that trash, frankly. I mean, like the defense is kinda weaker for a mythical age when you think of it. Of course, hit points completely useless, but the amount of healing he's gonna be able to output here is kinda crazy. I'm definitely though kinda liking what he's trying to do here, and it's fun. You can see 50 food, he's having plenty food from the Shrines of the Hunt, so why not? All the way upwards, by the way, still on the gold. And we're gonna be out of gold, right? Last one to the right, in the middle, and that's pretty much it. Wow, look at... Jesus, man. Having a lot of Mikos in here. Oh, because they are on auto queue, right? Because they are like an economical unit. And you can have them on auto queue. I didn't even actually know that you can be having Mikos on auto queue. Wait a second. Why would you be one? Why can you actually have Mikos on auto queue? That's a bit odd. Because you don't have priests on auto queue, right? What is that logic beyond that? No, whatever the case, it is a thing here, evidently. It's a bit kinda taking me off, like, aback slightly, but nonetheless, it's fun part anyway. Bit of a shame he didn't discover, I think, Vindicare right now, only now, the gold here to the right wing. By the way, towers defensive coming forward, but we don't have any kind of trade apparently coming down. It's gonna be pretty useful to be having the plenty vault in here for the red player. No trade, therefore, for Vindicare, as far as I can say and see. And he's not even starting with that. Oh, that's why. Okay, right now it actually dawned on me. That's why he's maybe going even for the Mikos. I'm liking how they get in kind of a bit actually blocked in there as well in the animation, how many there are next to each other. This is an odd game, but absolutely loving it, and I'm here for it. 36 minutes already of absolute top level fun. Frankly, it's gonna be hard even from the tournament to top this. And what are you gonna be doing with these? I mean, like, cavalry would be, of course, always great. If you'll be getting some archers as well. It's gonna be obviously quite a bit vulnerable, because they also attack very slow at 2. So, frankly, it's about having something with them. And they can heal it. That's gonna be, of course, their power. Yeah, they're on Meoges. Should be right quick right now with the fortress. So at least gonna be blocking the gold. And will be possibly have an opportunity for some villages here from orange to get in. Loving how he's actually keeping himself on 40 vills, unless it's bugged at this point, because... No, it's not gonna be bugged, because that's gonna be because the Mikos are not counting into military, right? That's gonna be there for 129, military and villages, and then we do have 70 population limit in the Mikos. Oh well, that's gonna be FPS in the drain at this point, unfortunately. Okay. No, not gonna be getting enough favor for the next Typhoon. You'll be absolutely needing it about now. But I'm absolutely loving the choke point, and I don't understand why Matador doesn't delete the stables. Apparently he's preferring to be having the horses from them, but I'm thinking that those two should have been deleted, so that the Mikos could be easily surrounded, because he was having more units in there. I'm thinking this was... I understand why he did it, but I'm having different opinions, simply. Let's put it that way. No, I can say it now. 58, 124, again... 90, 50, it's about like 110 if you're gonna be counting the Mikos into the military. I have to be doing such a math in here in late game because of this special build that we have on our hands. But looks like it maybe right now Matador has finally collected quite a bit of an appropriate army. And considering that this was maybe like a gamble for Vindicare to be getting onto the gold, and he doesn't really have the trade, this might be something that breaks his back in the end. Because you can say now gold out. Gold still in for Matador, even though he is starting with the markets. For the enemy, still nothing. Yeah, right now he's trying to survive off the food, and basically off the Mikos. It's an absolutely wild idea. I can't express how wild idea it is to me, but I'm absolutely here for it. Champion Doxotai, of course, all iron. That's also gonna be another problem for Vindicare. He's probably not gonna be able to have all the upgrades. Yeah, he's stuck, unfortunately, only on the copper ones. But Dragon Typhoon is yet again here, and we are... No. Yeah, we are getting the archers here as well. They are gonna be all dying. That's an extremely powerful god power. But of course, not like archers are having too many hit points in the end. So, 4 population limit against 32 at almost 40 minutes of game time. Villages still cannot seem difference in there. Half of it for Vindicare. Now he's gonna be maybe having some opportunity to breathe a bit. Hey, it's actually turning auto queue on villages. Damn, that's a new one. But considering how much food income he's having from the shrines, it shouldn't be too hard to get the caravans going. It's kinda shame that he's maybe not doing it. Loving right about now the echo. And trying to get, of course, the favor as well. Forecasting all the possible god powers. Oh, but currently already for the next, like, I don't know, 5th Typhoon or which one, it's gonna be already 300 favor. It's gonna be really hard to get. As of right now, the casting of the Thunderburst, but it's not entirely as much of an impact for god power. It's just like a delay in god power a bit. Okay, 2582. Oh, okay. Champion Hetairoy. Finally, we're gonna be getting those boys as well, joining the fun. Yes, we do have right now Olympian weapons. Pretty great. No, I think this is something that might be finally able to break the balance for the final time. Because if you get about, I don't know, 20-30 of them, then with the Thracian horses, they're just gonna be healing constantly, especially against the Mikos. I don't think that's gonna be too much of a good way how to survive this. Yeah, I'm thinking that the Hetairoy are right now gonna be finally the silver bullet. Can say it now, 0 units. 2 population limit in there only. Yeah, right now she died and she didn't drop military. Okay, so that was exactly as it was now. So Mikos do not count to the military, which kinda makes, in a certain way, sense, but at the same time they should be pretty much the same as priests, right? I'm fairly certain that priests do count. It's very odd that the Mikos are such a, like, a different unit when it's basically a priest. Definitely the most odd is that they evidently can be played with auto queue. That's kinda strange to me. If I wasn't seeing it kinda like wrong in there, seemed to me he was having them on auto queue. That's an odd one. But you can say now even architects. I'm not sure what was the last one. And you can say now caravans finally a bit later for Vindicare than it should have been. Opponent is getting improvements onto the siege weapons, as apparently. Yeah, and he could be doing something there, but he'll be needing the Typhoon. And you can say right now it's gonna be actually decreasing the cost rather significantly to only 124 for the next casting. After his Thunderburst. No, but he simply doesn't have any kind of units whatsoever. So I don't think he's gonna be able to figure his way out of this. Maybe just focusing on the economy a bit too late. He was having great opportunities and plenty of time. How to... Can I get at least on the similar level? I kinda wonder if maybe he even just kinda needed to start with the trade. If he started with the trade earlier, like, I don't know, 5-10... No, maybe even just like 5 minutes ago, more like 10. And he was still kinda holding Matti by the throat. If that would have been also enough for him. I'm kind of thinking that, yeah, would have been having like a bit less Mikos. But he'll be slowly but surely getting some good economy going. No, well, he decided to be playing it this way, but it was still an absolutely singular game. Well, one hell of a recorded game. If somebody's gonna be interested, you can of course get it out of AOMstats.io. It is ranked ladder. I think it is a normal ranked game. You can be able to find it there for the players, or I can potentially post it on my Discord. This certainly would be liking to put onto YouTube. Maybe gonna be putting it there faster, because I also have some previous games I'll be loving to put up, but this one is that's what I can say about that. But you can see the trade is already nicely going in here, 5 speed, so we therefore do have our upgrade into coinage for the opponent. Where is he even having the deer? Without the coinage even, for example. And now he's gonna be, of course, having cavalry all over his economy. And getting more and more Hetairoi. Can say now even some Petrovoli coming forward. And what are we getting? A Hanya mask. For the lifesteal right now, for the infantry, interesting. Yeah, like, sure, that's a pretty useful one. But not really thinking it's gonna be outplaying the power here that Lord Earth is able to get against him. 100 villages against 50, 130 against 4 on the military. They're just like Vindicare probably trying to get himself favor. You can say now 93 for the next casting of the Dragon Typhoon. It's probably what he's trying to get, in my opinion, in here. But it legitimately is not gonna be making any kind of difference, right? Because even if he destroys the army, he doesn't have any army himself to counter-attack with. Or kind of like block the new units with. And he's also not economically strong enough to capitalize on that immediately. So, sure, it's gonna be cool. But it's definitely not any kind of game breaker. Okay, nothing there. Just well, finally collecting relics at 45 minutes. Good. Feather of Bifunk. Well. Pegasus just gonna see in the hunt, of course. Nothing too further, so it seems like most of the action is at this point gonna be happening here from the south. The remaining action. He still does have at least some units in this point, Vindicare with the wolves, because they have pretty high statistics, like 250 HP, and certainly not any kind of pushovers. Not to be worried about. And I'm certain if those wolves actually even kind of stack up some hit points and statistics with age up. So we're thinking it probably yes. Can't entirely speak for certain about it. 26 villages. Looks like that Vindicare is just gonna be wanting to at this point to go all the way. 22, 23. That though, on the other hand, doesn't entirely feel like grassing room. So I'm still kinda at a loss who actually this player, who Vindicare is. Maybe it's a no nickname somewhere. Not sure, but that was a cool game. Not really sure if we're gonna be still able to get something better today, but we still do have a few hours of quality Age of Mythology ahead of us. I'll be trying to select some different nicknames, of course, from the community that you're gonna be seeing. So far we have had only one, for example, team game. We'll be loving to get some more Demeter, to get some better eye on what the players have so far figured out. If maybe they are utilizing some of the strats we speculated about in the last weeks, in our opinions on the Tech 3 and God Powers and stuff. And that is, of course, the important piece as well. But nonetheless, I'm gonna be also kind of curious. If we are already here, I'll be loving to see if we still do have the win condition. If you collect all the TCs, because in the original game, if you get all the town centers, you have like a 3-minute. Is it 3 minutes? I think a 3-minute timer that the game is gonna be ending if you don't kind of destroy at least one of the TCs. So I wonder if it's maybe if it stayed in Retold or if they just didn't include it. Not sure. So I haven't gotten into it yet. It's really something that I have seen like legitimately over the 10 years, 15 that I'm casting. Like 10 years plus in Age of Mythology, like maybe 2-3 times. I haven't seen it more than that. And I've cast thousands of games. So it's extremely rare to get it, because of course most people are just gonna be resigning earlier before that. And there are not that many specific situations where you could be realistically playing even after you are in such a shape. Kiyuin, of course, the biggest flame in AOM history between Dean and Bokal. There's an epic game we have on YouTube. Coincidentally, of course, also on Oasis. So 3 villagers right now, that's gonna be the last one, and that's gonna be a straight 0. Oh, he actually built something new. He's having still auto queue because he's having... Oh. He was having village center somewhere? Oh no, maybe actually this TC wasn't killed yet, or destroyed yet, maybe. No, and of course for the destruction of the player, you need to be destroying everything that can be producing something, so even markets. In the original game it was even market, so I wonder if maybe that was also possibly changed. But I guess you're gonna be right now having as the last ones. No, maybe the markets, frankly. They're also gone. Currently you can also get something, no, watermills not, but rather the shrines possibly would have been a thing. So nothing there. I think it's gonna be all the markets to the top right. So it seems like it's gonna be similar. I mean, like this Wolfo evidently doesn't count to the army, so I don't think it's gonna be important. But yeah, I think it's the markets. So I guess, and the shrine. The shrine evidently is also gonna be counting towards that. So you're gonna be at least seeing something full here. That's fun. And tell you something you're gonna be seeing every day. That's getting a constant and complete distraction and forced resign. Not entirely certain if maybe the players aren't, like, I don't know, communicating somewhere. Can you not see that? No, he saw that. He just chose not to. For some reason to assault that. Because otherwise we have literally just the walls, right? And nothing else. Yeah. 310 pop limit. By the way, settlement victory is there. Yep, it is a thing. It is still a thing in the game, so I'm happy that they didn't forget about that, because I'm not really sure if something like that exists in Age of Empires 3 engine. Because in Age of Empires 3, you obviously... I don't think so. I don't think there's anything like that. Omniscience even getting fancy in here. So yeah, nice to be seeing that this wasn't forgotten. So therefore, if you get all the settlements, you're having some timer. Haven't noticed when it was clicking in, but it's about like 3 minutes or I don't know. Not too many. But I'll be loving to see if the market is also the last building. I think it should be. Practically, it's always something that you can still get the resources from. Obviously, right now, the statistics at the end are gonna be completely busted for us. That we like to look at. But this was worth it. Settlement victory imminent. Finally seen also that in Retold. And it's patiently waiting for that here. Oh, patiently. Seems to be right now. Pacing impatiently rather, actually. Matadors Polyphemus. For 3, 2, 1. There we go. Matador victory. Game session finished. View map. It was 50 minutes and 42 seconds. Realistically, of course, decided about 5 minutes ago. But still, definitely a single experience here between Matador and Vindicare. So for the upgrades, we're gonna be, of course, having everything. We can't at this point check the opponent, but we probably remember where he was and he wasn't getting anything extra. So that's fine. All the upgrades there too. So, of course, tons in the extras. And let's go into the statistics. Total population obviously not too relevant. Can't see the fall of idle villagers. That's gonna be kinda hard to gauge because it's extremely long game in general. So tough to properly ascertain. So you are going to be having, no, some... It's gonna be some gold problem, of course, at that stage. No, not like it will be too low on the ground for Matador. He wasn't raided entirely too much. It was mostly like frontal assaults against him by Orange. Can't say it now for Vindicare. He just, on the other hand, didn't have too many villages to have raided or to be raided in the first place. I guess that's gonna be something that also helped him. So in the end, it's probably somewhat similar if you're gonna be considering mostly double the villages for red. Wow, look at that. 60 against 30, then complete destruction. This was where it was looking like that Orange is on the path to victory. But he insisted on having almost no villages here. Being locked at about those 44. And in the end, didn't turn out probably to be the correct option and choice. I can say now 86 to 64. Then we actually climbed up to even 157 with the caravans. Fun stuff though. Military, of course, quite a bit low. Unfortunately, we're not gonna be seeing the Mikos in here. They're just like outside of the statistics. Vindicare, you can see a bit higher, but no, well, they have a decent amount of Naginatas. It was mostly Naginatas again, against Zippicons. Of course, the population limit is gonna be no appropriately different as well based on the numbers. The 3 pop and all. Wow, look at the drop for red. 53 down to 19. There's the damn typhoons. Dragon Typhoon, absolute destruction of the army. One. That was a second? Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Yes. 4, 5. Typhoon is damn something here. Especially with how often you can be casting it with Susanoo. No, and the resources, obviously, you can't entirely see too much of a difference in here. Here, in the early stages, you can see barely any kind of difference. Just a few hundred most of the time. Then at about 19 minutes, it started deviating. It's kind of curious because, of course, even during this time, the villager count was definitely, no, a bit similar, but then, okay. So where it was 16 minutes, it was starting to change. And at 16 minutes, we are kind of same. And in a few minutes, in 2, we were having some 2,000 extra. Okay, so ever since then, it started escalating and deviating. 10,000 resources difference at 27. I'm not really sure if it was like some kind of challenge for Orange, but it was a bit odd. Just like having the auto queue on the villages in there, I don't think it could have hurt him too much. Maybe he was really thinking that he just needs to be pressuring a bit more and he's almost there. Like, frankly, maybe he wasn't too wrong in that, but didn't work out this time. And of course here, I guess maybe we can be looking at the 35 minutes. It's gonna be some 20, or is it 22-2 of a difference, already half extra economy than the Japanese is having. So still fairly impressive that Vindicare was able to keep it alive, and very much dangerous for Red for such a long time. Like, Red wasn't having any kind of easy and simple game. And in the end, of course, it's gonna be more than double in there. Understandably, with for the last several minutes, non-existent echo for Vindicare, whereas Mat is still growing. 1330 favor. Still 600 more, for example, than Matador, but Matador wasn't really wanting the favor for too many things. Not for extra castings of the God Power, he got like second ceasefire only. And not too many other things. Myth units also weren't his like favorite in this game. 86 the peak for the Japanese. No, and the unit skill though, that's a different story. Largest armies, sure. And definitely love the Raijus in most common unit, actually militia for Matador. For a 50-minute game, that's a bit strange maybe. But sure. 337, 338, nice advances. Heroic Ages, of course, hit pretty correctly too. Mythical Ages, there already was a bit of a difference. Matador was having some struggle to get in. 10 Raijus. 10 Raijus, that's not entirely that many, but they were just kind of hard to kill. That's always the problem for the Geek. Well, of course, the limited amount of heroes. It definitely opened some opportunities for the opponents with some good myth units to be annoying. And they were, you can see it now, hero unit 15 on Mirges. The siege weapon heroes there. 23 God powers. And about like 5 or 6 typhoons, or how many there were. No GG. That was a good game. No, okay, so I'm gonna be restarting the game. It's kind of like 2 hours of the session, and then we continue. We'll see what kind of game we're gonna be getting next, but frankly, after this one, hard to get something great again, I guess. But we'll see. Okay, maybe in the meantime have a look at the player. Vindicare. He's having 1857 as a rating. Matador is 2180. And Vindicare is having French flag and one trick pony. French flag? Really? I mean, like, how many French players do you know? Not too many, right? I mean, like, French player, that could be Chemo. I mean, like, Arafan, potentially. But no, Arafan... No, yeah, he's French. I think it's, like, between French and Canada. I think it might be, like, a Canadian, but French or something like that. He is, I think, in Arafan. If I'm not confusing him. But nonetheless, Vindicare... You know, apparently he's playing right about now against Matador only, it looks like. I'll be showing that to you in a moment. Wait a second. Probably no other top level players currently playing. So you can say it now a few games in a row. Matador winning all of them, but... okay. 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Probably some kind of builds testing or I don't know. But Okichichibu, 37 minutes 58. Even including a Titan. Damn. So they play some kind of epic games. You can see only Susanoo apparently for Vindicare. And who is otherwise French? Miniati, isn't Miniati French? I'm thinking. And from other top player, there's I think one more who is a French player. Ranked 1 on Supremacy. Somebody like Chasing the Sun or whatnot, isn't he French as well? But yeah, this was quite a game. Sardinian Czech player at 1971? Excuse me. Kitchen is open. Never knew a good Czech player. Theoretically Drátek. But looks like maybe that could be somebody else. Chasing the Sun. Is he French or not? Yeah, Chasing the Sun is French. I remember it correctly. 1842, 2000 the max. Who knows? That is some kind of variant, I guess. But I'm surprised by this Czech player. What the hell? No idea who that could be. Okay, gonna be keeping an eye on that. Otherwise, no further French flags in here anywhere. There's Vindicare and One Trick Pony. Yeah, I'm very curious actually who that is. I think this nickname I've already kind of seen it mentioned somewhere. So maybe it's a known one, but curious. And the Czech player, no, well, that's also something to keep an eye on. That's kind of surprising me too. Kitchen is open. I'm gonna be assuming that's gonna be his Smurf probably. Very unlikely to be having 2 Czech players in the top. Considering that they weren't any on Woobly, for example. Yeah, I'm thinking it's gonna be either, it can be Chemo, kind of hiding and smurfing, or, but frankly, Chemo without economical upgrades, that's hard to imagine. He's always the one who absolutely preferred economical builds, and economical upgrades were always his forte. So I'm thinking not because of that. And he's also not entirely, no, well, at the same time, he can be hard-headed, kind of, letting it go all the way there. But yes, Miniature Chasing the Sun would be from like the active players, unless it's just gonna be some VPN. Chasing the Sun is pretty good, Miniature lately as well, so maybe. But again, not entirely certain who will be letting it go all the way and just gonna play in such an experimental way. Not entirely fitting with these players, unless they have changed. No, curious no less. So let's figure out some further game therefore. What a game though. What a game. Theoretically the Czech nicknames theoretically could be Rappel. Because isn't he having like the Czech girlfriend? Maybe. That could maybe be something as well. But not really sure. It's just a speculation.